Novak Djokovic, the 10-time Australian Open champion, taking on Carlos Alcaraz, who needs an Australian Open title to complete his career Grand Slam at such a young age. Big matchup here in this Australian Open quarterfinals. Whoever would have thought that we'd see the day that these two are playing in a quarterfinal. So here's a little preview and prediction of this big matchup here. Gonna get started by talking about Carlos Alcaraz. Guys, I say this time and time again, and it's really not any new news whatsoever. Alcaraz is a stud. Well, what a freaking talent this kid is. I mean, at this young of an age, to only need an Australian Open to complete a career Grand Slam is something. And I know I've said this time and time again, in case you guys didn't know, youngest player in tennis history to win championships on hard courts, grass courts, and clay courts. Now, you can make the argument that the Australian Open might be his worst surface out of the four major championships. But hey, guys, when he's playing as good as he is right now, you could actually make the case right now that he's the favorite to win this first Grand Slam of 2025. He's only dropped one set. He also has a little bit of rest because that last matchup against Draper had to pull out after the completion of the second set. So he even got a little bit of rest in there too. He's playing so good right now. The thing is, though, for him, this is the tougher half of the bracket, right? Djokovic, that we're going to talk about in a second, big matchup, gets by that one. Likely going to be Alexander Zverev. Those two tend to always go 5 sets and be at each other's throats as far as the matchup goes. Just remember last year's French Open where the two of them just went at it, and a great matchup there. So then you'd have to obviously go to the final where you'd end up with Jannik Sinner. But anyway, guys, that's all scenarios for the time. The big one here, this matchup with Novak Djokovic. Djokovic, guys, I am not going to lie, I was slightly concerned at the start of this year's tournament. It looked rough at some moments early on, dropping sets early, but he's dialed it in recently there. Djokovic is definitely feeling it right now. And listen, all it takes is one matchup, guys, right? He could beat Carlos Alcaraz. We saw it last year at the Olympic Games when he did it to win his first ever Olympic gold medal. Novak Djokovic only has to put it together for a matchup here, right? Now, obviously, still some bigger ones out there, like I said, with Alcaraz there, but still, he could definitely put it together and win this matchup. I mean, he still has the tools. Is it as good as it once was? No, but it's still at a high enough of a level. He's still one of the best players in the world, and he's on his best surface. You can make the case for Novak Djokovic to win, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. But here's the thing, guys. We've seen this matchup play out a few times now over the last few years on a few different surfaces. Outside of that Olympic Games, it's pretty much always been Carlos Alcaraz. So I'm going to go with what I've seen. I think Carlos Alcaraz beats Novak Djokovic here. Like I said, you can make the case for Novak. Wouldn't be surprised if Novak won. But still, I like Alcaraz in the matchup. He's just so good, so well-rounded, so hard to put away in every single point, much like Novak Djokovic was for the majority of his career. We're starting to see Djokovic start to slide here a little bit on the later part of this career. I really thought that Djokovic needed a really good draw to be able to pull a rabbit out of his hat and win this year's Australian Open. I just went over that draw, right? Alcaraz, probably a Zverev, most likely Sinner in the final. No matter who comes out of this one, tough matchups going forward here, but still, nonetheless, great matchup here. If these two guys play at the best of their games, it's going to be a very fun tennis matchup to watch. My official prediction, Carlos Alcaraz gets the win and advances to the Australian Open semifinals.